All right, Alexander, let's talk about Merkel's EU empire, her EU empire, and the fact that Merkel is talking about the EU empire expanding into the Balkans. what what do you make of this? Obviously, expanding into the Balkans, you have a lot of small statelets in the Balkans, a lot of small countries, and then I think you have the big fish that they want to catch, and they want to move into the EU, NATO sphere of things. And I'm speaking about Serbia. So you have a lot of different small states in and around the whale, the big whale that they want to grab, and that is Serbia. Yeah, it would be a game changer if the EU, and when I mean the EU, I think of the EU and then I think of NATO. I kind of see them as going hand in hand. If they manage to accomplish Merkel's vision, it would be a game changer for the world of geopolitics, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be a game changer for the Balkans. It would also potentially be a game changer for the EU, because I don't think the EU, by the way, and Merkel understand the Western Balkans very well at all, and they may not understand quite what they're taking on there. But let's just unpack this. A year ago, Macron was saying, I think it was 2 years ago actually, Macron was saying there will be no more EU expansion, and he actually vetoed the attempt to get Macedonia, or Northern Macedonia as it now is. He vetoed its attempt to join the EU. Remember, it changed its name in order to make it possible for it to join the EU, and that Macron astonished everybody by turning up at a summit and saying that he was opposed to it, and that he didn't think any country should be joining the EU for the time being, because the EU had expanded so much that it needed time to take a step back and to reorganize and to sort itself out before it embarked again on this process of expansion. And it now turns out that Macron has capitulated to Merkel about this. It seems to be agreeing with Merkel's vision of expanding the EU into the Western Balkans. So that means countries like Northern Macedonia, as I will call it, and possibly eventually Bosnia and all those other places too, in order, as you absolutely rightly say, to encircle Serbia, force Serbia into NATO and into the EU, get Serbia to accept the loss of Kosovo, get Serbia to basically break links with Bosnia, and in effect to establish the Western hegemony in the Balkans. Now, that is the plan. I think in the end, it's bringing a time bomb into your house, because, of course, bringing all these countries into the EU doesn't solve the problem. It merely imports the problem into the EU itself. But Merkel and people like her never think in that way. They always assume that expanding the EU, which, to be very clear, is a kind of neo-imperial project, is the way to achieve their geopolitical objectives, which is to isolate Serbia, drive out Russia. And of course, if it provokes war in the Balkans, then of course that is completely unexpected. It's not what they anticipate at all, and they get angry and sulky, and they find that they don't really have a solution to it. We saw that in Ukraine. We could very well see that happen eventually in the Balkans as well, but that doesn't prevent the inner drive to expand and dominate and control and bring in all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 questions. UK out, Brexit done. Is this the replacement now to the UK? That's question number 1. And question number 2, a lot of problems. Bulgaria, for example, is not in favor of North Macedonia entering the EU. There's a lot of dispute over language and history, and Bulgaria has made that known. Greece may have, for the time being, solved its issues. I personally don't think it was a solution. In my opinion, I see, I don't know. Anyway, different video. In the future, these issues will come back up again. But Bulgaria is standing firm, and they have an issue. And then, of course, you have Kosovo, where you have 5 if I'm counting correctly, 5 EU countries, for very different reasons, do not recognize Kosovo. And the countries, Spain, for various different reasons, I said, Alexander, Spain, Slovakia, Romania, Greece, and Cyprus. And so there you have it. So UK replacement, is this the replacement to the UK? And this is going to be a tough job to encircle Serbia, to get these small states in, and then to get Serbia to capitulate, because there's a lot of EU countries that aren't buying into Merkel's plan so far.
Absolutely. Can I just say a few things about this? You're absolutely right. I mean, partly this is in order to compensate for the loss of Britain. So the point about the EU system is that in order to maintain itself, it has to go on growing. This is the objective. They have to grow in order eventually to bring in every country in Europe into the EU. So that means they have to pressure and bully every country. They did this recently with Switzerland. You remember we did a program about Switzerland. They do it with Norway, and now they're doing it into the Balkans. And the fact that the British have left has been a huge psychological shock. So they have to compensate by expanding elsewhere. They've been blocked in Ukraine. Their venture in Belarus failed. Their relationship with Turkey has gone hideously sour. So, of course, where does that leave you to expand now? And that is the Balkans. Now, of course, North Macedonia doesn't compensate for the loss of Britain, and it doesn't ultimately, solve your underlying problems. But psychologically, this project has to go on growing. Otherwise, their worry is, their fear is that it will stagnate and then implode. So they're going to now venture into the Balkans. Now, they're being advised by all sorts of people that this is an extremely bad idea. Greece, as you rightly say, is unhappy about this. They certainly don't want Kosovo, independence for Kosovo, to be recognised for many very good historical reasons. Cyprus also, Spain also, Bulgaria too. And, Spain, Cyprus, they have reasons, particular reasons, dealing with secessionism to be concerned about this. Romania has its own reasons, which are historical ones. Bulgaria, because viscerally and with a great deal of historical justice, the Bulgarians feel that they have a claim to what is called North Macedonia as part of Bulgaria too. So all of these countries are saying to Merkel and to the EU leadership, don't do it. This is a bad idea. But ultimately, what always happens is they will override those objections. They will press on. They will bring these countries into the Balkans. The underlying problems of these countries, the feelings of anger and disputes, the tensions, the unresolved arguments about the borders are unresolved between all of them. Many of them are small microstates which are unstable, surrounding Serbia, which is resentful towards all of them. So all of this is going to come eventually to a bang, to a smash. Now, if it happens with these countries outside of the European Union, well, you can contain it. But if it happens with these countries inside the European Union, well, the European Union is then facing a major crisis within its own borders. So it is not wise. But when has Merkel ever shown wisdom in respect to problems of this kind?
I don't understand, if Merkel is on her way out in September, why is she doing this? Is this her last? Is this her last hurrah? This is her last grand move here? Is to deal with the Balkans? Because I agree, it's going to be a disaster. I mean, there's the Kosovo issue. There's Bulgaria and North Macedonia. There's issues with the greater Albania vision, which is existential for countries like Greece and for countries like Bulgaria and for countries like Serbia. I mean, there's a lot of issues here, and Merkel is she's stirring up the the pot, man, and the thing's going to explode if she continues. But why is she doing this? She's leaving in a month or two.
Yeah, she wants to assert herself before she leaves, to show that she's still a strong and important leader. And in order, and this is important always to remember with Merkel, in order to make reassure the people in Brussels of her continued relevance and importance and loyalty, so that she can move on to whatever future career she has in mind for herself. So this is partly Merkel trying to ensure for her own future by appearing to support the pressure from Brussels. But it's also important to remember that at some basic level, Merkel believes in all of this. I mean, she's a very difficult person to understand. I mean, she's in some ways a very cynical and very opportunistic politician. But her own power has been so bound up with that of the EU for so long that to some extent it would not be surprising if she thought of its expansion as in a way reflecting positively on herself. So there's an element possibly here of Merkel trying to protect or enhance, if you like, her legacy as the person who brought the EU into the Balkans. All I'm going to say about that, by the way, is that Germany came crashing 100 years ago when a previous series of German leaders started to get themselves involved in the Balkans. I mean, the First World War began there because Germany, people in Berlin, didn't understand the Balkans very well. And it's astonishing to see the Germans again making the same set of mistakes. But there we are. People never learn.
The more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess.
Exactly. Precisely so.
All right. We'll continue to follow this story. Guys, look for us on Locals. Look for us on Super U, ODYSEE, BitChute, Rumble. Look for us on those platforms as well. And go to the Duran shop. 10% off all merch when you use the code Real News. Take care.